What if your deepest wounds held the key to your most potent creation? What if the pain you carry, especially in your sacred feminine space, could be transformed into art, into healing, into pure power? Today, we are diving into the alchemy of creation and healing, exploring how one artist channels the echoes of womb trauma into vibrant expressions of divine feminine wisdom. Get ready to feel the raw, transformative power of art as a pathway back to yourself. Welcome to Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. I'm Paula Aparecida, your somatic sex coach and therapist, here to guide you in bringing back orgasm, vitality, and the raw, pulsating rhythm of life inside of you with a real Brazilian swag. My mission to help you cut through the noise, reconnect with your body's ancient wisdom, and reclaim your pleasure as a radical act of self-empowerment. Before we dive deep in this profound conversation, meu amor, do me a favor. If you're ready to explore the revolutionary power of connection and healing, please hit the subscribe button wherever you listen to this podcast. Share this episode with a friend who needs a little bit more sabor, flavor, gostosura in life. And leave a comment telling me what is art as healing for you, what it means to you. Your engagement is really important. It helps this movement. Today, we have a truly inspiring guest who embodies this mission of healing through art. Jillian Maeve, am I pronouncing it correctly? I don't know. You're going to listen to her. She is an incredible artist who amplifies the feminine power. She draws wombs, vaginas, clitoris, all our vulvas to inspire us to heal, to move, to revolutionize not only our life, but the planet as a community, as our motherhood. Jillian, welcome to Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. I am really inspired and honored and grateful for you being here. We have a friend together. Yeah, we have a friend. Andrew introduced us. I'm so glad, Andrew, for this introduction. And Maeve, Jillian Maeve, thank you. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be on Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. I'm so excited.
And first of all, tell me, where are you from? Where do you come from? Where are you right now? Tell me something about your life.
Sure. I currently live in upstate New York in the United States, and I am a mom of two. I have two beautiful children. My daughter just turned 4. My son is 6.5. I have a loving husband who I've been with for over 15 years. And we have cycled through many, many, many lifetimes together, it feels. And we're on a healing journey through pleasure and resource. I have just recently quit a decades-long career in teaching to pursue my art full-time.
In
And
teaching.
it is through my pleasure practice of painting. That's right.
Teaching at school with
Yes.
me too. I was a teacher, Portuguese teacher. Have this in common. So great.
That's amazing. Yeah, so many of us are, and I think it's because we carry this mission of, shifting the culture towards the world that we all know is possible. And so we see it in the young ones. And I think that a lot of us spend a lot of years working with young ones as a way to heal our inner child. And it's almost like I got this message like, okay, you've done that work. This part of your lifetime is complete. Now you can focus on what really lights you up inside. And that's when I started painting full time.
Your work, as I know, everybody knows, please go to her Instagram. She's going to tell us the link properly at the end. but your work is here to amplify, to enhance the feminine divine power. Yeah. Can you share a moment or experience that created this mission that made you realize this is what I will do in your life?
After giving birth to both of my children, I went through a profound journey of healing, both on a physical level and on a spiritual level, in which my body felt broken, changed, forever altered. And what I didn't know at that time was that the process of healing physically would take me on a deep spiritual journey as well, and that I would emerge on the other side even more empowered and uh, alive and inspired than ever before. So I started going to a pelvic floor therapist after my second birth, um, because the pain in my vagina was so intense that I couldn't ignore it anymore. And when I went through these healing sessions, I started to realize that prioritizing my own pleasure and my own desire was just the beginning of a long journey of becoming awake to myself and to my creative seat of power. And so I started going through these very physical sessions in which I was needing to be very gentle and tender with myself. And I was asking my partner for the first time ever really to pay such close attention to my body and to my cues and to listen to me on more of a deeper spiritual level. And as we went through that work, I started to realize all of the times and places, all of the ways in which I had denied myself my own my own joy, my own pleasure at the sake of someone else, generally for people pleasing. And I decided to never do that again and to never lie again about what I wanted or what turned me on or what was the right move to make in the bedroom and without, right? Like when I started to put my focus on my pussy and on my anatomy, my creative seat of power, I realized that I could never make a wrong decision because she will never guide you in the wrong direction. She will
Hmm.
always take you that's most true for you. And so the more I started to tune into my own body, the more I realized, hey, I've been a painter my whole life, but I've always kept it on the side. I've always kind of felt like that wasn't the job for me because I had to be responsible. I had to be serious. I had to do something that was going to contribute to my community. And I taught for over 20 years. I've been a teacher of art, of early childhood, um, of a number of things. And I started to realize that my time there had closed and that it was time for me to focus more on my painting because as I dove in, it woke something up in me. And I started to realize that my painting was very much tied with a pleasure practice. And that when I focused in on my pleasure practice and I paid attention, I started to do these studies of my own anatomy, my own vulva. And as I paid attention to her, she became awake and alive and she started speaking to me more clearly, more fluidly. And the more I painted, the more turned on I felt. It was like back and forth. It was this conversation of amplification. I started to feel more alive than ever before. And the power of the artwork became undeniable. Women started sending me pictures of their own turned on pussies. And I realized that painting portraits of this divine feminine seat of power was a mission for me. And the more I prayed on it, the more I felt that my angels and my ancestors were leading me toward this body of work. And at first it was like, it was so intense that I couldn't even show it. I wasn't sure what it would be, how it would be received. And I was very nervous about what it meant for me to be doing this work in particular, especially in this age when everybody's paying attention or looking at you and judging you instantly on social media and beyond. It's very easy for people at a distance to pass a judgment or to make a criticism and troll you. The less I listened to that fear and the more I listened to my own inner knowing and my own intuition, the more righteous this mission felt. And so here I am today.
Oh my God. This is so nice because I had a huge trauma when I was a child. People who keep listening to this podcast, they probably already know it, but you don't. I don't know if you know. I was abused by a relative, a very close relative, when I was a child. I became dissociated to my body after that, and my body was kind of an enemy for me. I couldn't connect with it properly. I felt I was like this here looking from above. I was not here
Yeah.
inside of me. And when I looked into the mirror, I didn't recognize that body also. I looked at it and I saw it differently from the pictures. It was like as if I was two different people. For me, when you say that, reconnect with your body, that is the truth. It's so true because when I was a teenager, I was diagnosed with TDA, I don't know how to say. I had to take Ritalin and all Concerta, all this these things to be functional, to study at university, to get my papers yeah, done, to pay my bills. When I started to come back to my body, everything changed. I didn't need
Mhm.
pills any longer. Yeah, I could feel my body. I could feel myself deeply, all the depression I had. And the body was the key. For me, especially the vulva was very difficult because I was abused in my clitoris. For a long time in my life, when I touched my clitoris, it hurt and
Mm.
my leg would close. And I didn't know what was happening. Why does it hurt? I should have pleasure. And when you say that, how you got in connection with your vulva, how people would send you their vulvas, it made me move. Like I almost cried a little bit with this. And I thought about a question. What do you mean when you talk about womb trauma? You told us that you came into this art movement because you had things happening with you. But what do you
Yeah.
mean by it?
More of a spiritual trauma that was going on in my body was that I too felt very disassociated from my physical body. When I was a teen, I experienced rape as my first entry point to sex, and it was from a friend. And it was supposed to be someone that I trusted. And this person took my virginity and went off and laughed with his friends. And I felt crushed, devastated, and hurt. And my first experiences of sex were like that. It was very much someone taking something from me that I didn't really wish to give. And it was painful. It was embarrassing. It was too early, you know? And then I experienced sort of being swept up in born again Christianity, in which my physical body was separate from my spiritual body. And I was told, you know, all of this conditioning, I was given all this conditioning about denying my body's urges or my pleasure or my physical wants. And it was all about maintaining a pious righteousness towards, you know, the next place, which is heaven. You know, it's like, I now know that heaven is on earth. This is,
Yeah.
we're living in the paradise right now. You know, I feel in touch with that. But for the rest of my teenage years and into my early adulthood, I was sort of unraveling my conditioning as a Christian and thinking that if I had these urges and these desires, I was going to go to hell. So I didn't have my first orgasm till I was 23, 24 years old. It blew my mind. I didn't have an orgasm with a man or a partner, sexual partner, until I was in my 30s. So it was like something that just felt so beyond me. And when I gave birth to my first child, I was very much focused on having a home birth. I wanted to have an unmedicated home birth, and I had my women around me. I was already circling in goddess circles. I had expressed my primal rage. I had expressed my grief, my deep wells of grief. I felt like I was really in touch with my body. And I realized in the process of that first birth journey, which was like a marathon, and I was very stubbornly, you know, just set on my goal. And I reached a point of total exhaustion because I wasn't willing. There was still parts of me that I was not willing to face or feel. And that came up through that birth journey. And I experienced an injury and a birth trauma. Um, and I had a cesarean section. And all of that was deeply upsetting to me at the time. And so unraveling that through the process of art, painting became my healing. I started to paint my bones, my structure that had held my baby in so tightly and not allowed him to pass through. I started to paint my sacrum, which I was told was bent in a funny way and was preventing his head from coming through. I started to paint what it felt like intuitively, the womb itself, this powerful organ that exercises life and moves it through, creates life and sustains it, and then moves it through this unspeakable journey. By the time I became pregnant with my second child, my daughter, I knew that I wanted to try again for a vaginal birth. I knew that it was important to me to try to reclaim what I had felt robbed of the first time and what I had been working through. So I did a lot of work with my somatic experiencing practitioner friend. Her name is Samantha Joe, and her movement is called With Pleasure. And she took me through this spiral journey of going back to my first birth and pausing. Like I was literally in the field in that moment. And she had me pause and look around and notice at all these points in all of the resource that I had at my disposal, that I had told the story that I was like, this was taken from me or I was robbed of this. And I showed them my birth plan. They said no, all of these steps along the way in which I didn't feel my full sovereignty. I was able to reclaim all of the resource that was actually there for me and shift that narrative and shift the memory to a place of understanding and belonging and reconnection. And fast forward to my second birth, I had to transfer once again from my home where I was like lovingly welcoming my daughter and she wasn't coming through. I was pushing. She was not moving. My midwife said, you have to go to the hospital. And I was crushed because I thought they were going to operate on my body again. And she said, you know what? We have options. You're going to be able to exercise your options. And she stayed with me. And I was able to, within 10 minutes of transferring to the hospital, I was able to push my daughter out vaginally. And it was a fucking miracle because they were ready to cut me. And I was like, don't cut me. I'm going to do it, So I pushed her out and then I had this enormous tear. And so then I had to heal from another incision, but this time it was like the sheer pressure and force that I was asked to enact in the hospital setting ripped my tissue. And I had to go through this process of like weaving this tissue back together. And in that process, realized that I could become even more whole than I was before because I was so much more aware of what was happening for my body. And I was in tune and I was listening. My partner was listening. Shortly after, I started to discover my capacity for cervical orgasms. And that changed everything.
Jillian, it's so great to talk with artists. All the time you speak, you almost make me cry. And this is so beautiful because I know you're not a writer and you didn't uh, write the speech in advance, but the way you speak, it's so deep, it's so profound, and you remind me of Frida Kahlo and her
I
painting.
love her.
Yeah, and her paintings about her trauma. When you started talking about how you dealt with it, one picture of her came to my mind where she's rearranging her body herself, the traumas she got in her body because of her accident. It felt like the same idea, how magical it is, how I don't know, it feels like magic. Yeah, how you can, people say manifest, let's manifest things, and how you as an artist with this deep, this profound uh, ability to feel the world. Yeah, with this ability to feel the world, we can put your healing in your paintings. And I could feel that. I'm really, really, really glad listening this. And I was not an artist when I was a child. I used to sing, yeah, to sing a lot. And
Oh,
I am good at talking. Better in Portuguese, yeah, much better because I have a lot more vocabulary. I feel like that when I'm dancing, I'm moving my hips, I'm kind of creating everything I want. I feel this orgasmic energy. I can touch it like as if I'm molding it, yeah, and
yeah.
building myself. And I don't know, very amazing. The way you talk about your healing and your art, it looks like magic. Yeah, it looks like you're casting a spell. And
Mm.
is it true? Yeah, is it what you're doing as a woman? Tell me more about it.
Yes, I really believe that when you enter that flow state, which I feel deeply in painting, and I can hear from you, you feel it deeply when you're dancing and moving, perhaps when you're singing.
I
I
also
love
feel
to work.
when I'm working as a therapist is very nice because I can create this field of the person. I only work online. Sometimes I make events like people together. The next event is gonna happen like in 2 weeks. I'm gonna make 20 women come without touching, just feeling and seeing each other coming. That's what I'm gonna do. Oh my God, in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
And
magic.
I love doing this, like doing with people together and also online. We create a field together and then I can it's so it's so small, especially when I'm working online with someone. I need to focus and then I ask the person, what are you feeling? What is happening with your body? And the person says, I'm itching here. And I feel my throat like, there's something here. And I always ask first. Yeah, I always ask first. It's like I'm channeling what is happening with the person. And usually when I'm with people coaching or as a therapist, I tell them move like this, like stand up and step your feet on the floor. I don't know, any kind of movement or breath techniques I give. And then I have to do
Yeah.
it together. I have to do it. If I don't do it, it feels like strange. So when I am with people also, oh my God, but let's go. Let's come
You
back to the
did it. No, no, I love.
spelling.
Yes. So I feel that when I'm painting, I'm connecting deeply with that divine creative life force that we are all connected to. And this is one way that I feel tapped into that flow state. When I'm in that flow state, it feels deeply reverent, cosmic, and angelic almost. I can feel my toric field sort of circling back, and then the act of painting is actually filling my cup, and then it's pouring out and it's filling over and over again. And so I chose to consciously work with this about 2 years ago for the first time. I had a dear friend who was going through a major life transition. She sees how much I love painting and she wanted to encourage me to paint, but I was working full time at the time. She commissioned a piece from me when she was going through this major transition. And as I sat with this opportunity to make more money than I had ever made from a painting, from my dear friends on this at this moment of major transition, I sat with it and I realized I could paint my prayers into the painting. And so I would prepare my space and prepare myself. I would smudge myself. I would smudge my space. I would come into a state of reverence, singing, dancing, moving, and getting into alignment before I worked on her piece. And I started to play with outside the studio. At the same time, I had started to play with this orgasmic manifestation where I would call my prayers to the forefront at the moment of orgasm. It was all becoming very aligned in my mind. So I was sort of painting orgasmically these prayers into my, and it was such a profound experience for me. The painting took me months to make. I wasn't able to work on it full time. I had a job, etc. But it was like this otherworldly piece that to me was the most beautiful thing I had ever painted in my life. I was able to gift it to her and I shared my specific prayers for her to find love again, for her to feel connected to her parenting partner, her child, her parenting partner's partner, all of the people in her sphere, for there to be healing and for everyone to come back together, in time, for the anger to dissipate, for there to be a feeling of joy and ease in her life, for her to feel worshipped from her new lover who we didn't know yet. Like I was praying all of this into her piece. She put it on her altar and she prayed with it. And within months, all of the things that I had named and prayed for came true. And it was like, there it is. That's prayer in action right there. I
I
realized
want a
at that moment,
painting. I want a painting. I want a painting.
got it, babe. It really works. That's what blew my mind, was that I believe in magic. I believe in earth magic and water magic and all of the elements. I believe in the wisdom of our ancestry, all of our collective ancestry, that when we go to the root, it was based in connection with our unity with the cosmos, our unity with the divine creators, creatrixes, however you want to name it. It's like there was this knowing very far back that we are conscious creators of our reality and that we are weaving spells with every thought, with every breath, with every movement, every decision that we make. And here I had been sort of blind to that and sort of had these blinders on, like, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is how I contribute. And I sort of started to take these blinders off and see I can be a conduit for this divinity to flow. And as I started to let it flow more easily, it awakened and enlivened parts of me I didn't even know existed. The more alive I felt, the more embodied I felt and I became through those prayers, first for my friend. And then it was sort of like, once I started the series, I started realizing I could be painting these prayer lines into every piece and sort of holding this sacred vision of collective healing in the field that exists all around us all the time. And that when I focus in on my prayer for the highest good, everything started falling into place and it became an effortless, super enjoyable feeling. And here I am now.
So the best prayer for you is prayer painting. Yeah, you should give like a workshop. I'm gonna teach you how to pray and manifest through painting.
Yes,
I think it would
yes.
be nice. I would attend
I
it
would
for
love
sure.
to.
I would attend it. Yeah, I would learn how
Yay.
to paint, how to manifest, yeah, how to pray. Three in one.
Yes, yes. I love it.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
that's
so good. Let's do. I don't know how to paint. This is an issue I have because when I was a child, my lowest grades were in art. I was
oh,
really bad at it because I don't know, the teacher back then used to teach us not art as an expression of yourself, but more like you work with your hands and you need to be very patient to paint like this, to do like that. And I had THD. So I didn't have any
yeah.
patience to do this. So for me, it was like, oh my God, do you want me to paint? I will give it to you. Once a teacher, when I was like 7, she saw a map. I draw a map, like geography class. And she told me I painted like a boy, that I should learn how to paint like a girl. And what is painting like a boy? And she said, no, look at the other girls' books and drawings. And oh my God, I paint like a boy. Okay, so screw you. There's one thing that always happens in this podcast. We have home pleasure, actually. Home pleasure
Yes.
is something the person needs to do in order to achieve a relief or some kind of healing, self knowledge. And the topic today of our meeting is art as a womb wisdom. Yeah. We're talking about art, about healing, about the feminine energy. The person who is listening to us right now, what can this person do? A small thing, a small practice in order to get more connected with art, with feminine energy, with this
Mm.
manifestation. Give us our home pleasure.
This is wonderful. Your assignment is to do some mirror work, but not just looking. I encourage everyone to find a private space and time to get yourself at least one, but maybe a few mirrors that you can set up. I found this very inspiring and very enlivening. So you set up the mirror, and then I want you to get a blank sheet of paper and whatever material you want to use. Maybe it's something colorful like colored pencils or markers. Maybe you want to use a paintbrush. Maybe you just want to use some charcoal or a pencil. But I want you to draw what you see as you become aware of your own anatomy. What I find personally is that the more I pay attention to my vulva and my pussy, I'm becoming more familiar and comfortable with that word, which is very charged in American culture, pussy, but it means all of you down there. So when you pay attention to your pussy and you feel that attention back, you start to open, engage. And if there's a moment of fear or judgment or doubt or something like that, the lower vibrations start to come in. Find a way to resource yourself, look around, find something that's beautiful to look at and take it in. Give yourself a moment. I love looking at the light through the trees because it reminds me that I'm tiny, or I love to hear the ocean waves I can hear. That brings me back into my body, right? So anytime you come up against a point of resistance, resource yourself and remind yourself that you are safe and you are loved and you are beautiful. And the more you pay attention by actually doing the act of drawing, you allow yourself to unfold and to blossom, to be witnessed. And the more you are witnessed, the more turned on you get. It's really magical that way. So I would encourage everyone to do some mirror study.
Very good. I'm gonna do that.
You can make your own pussy portrait.
I've never done it. I will try.
If you find it challenging at all for the listeners out there, maybe you start to doubt your art skills or something like that. Don't worry about the product. Just focus on the actual act. And it might be easier for you to paint a flower, for instance, or a peach or a papaya, something beautiful and fleshy that makes you remember and think of, and then come back. Keep trying again and again, because the more that you pay attention, the more aroused and enlivened you become. And it's powerful.
This is such a gift. You should pay, Jillian. We here in Brazil, we have a tool we call Pix. Pix, it's like an email or a number, and people can transfer money to you without paying any charges. No charges at all. We have this technology in Brazil, and we say, please give me a Pix. Give her a Pix. So
Yeah.
this is I don't know, this is a gift. I will do it. And I'm sure that everyone who's listening, when you get in touch with yourself, when you allow yourself, and our genitals, they suffer a lot. We have a lot of taboo religion in the West, world Christianity, that tells us that this part of our bodies are sinful, are forbidden, are not worth our attention, our love, or caring. And when you start this journey, is revolutionary. Woohoo! We are getting to an end. Jillian, do you have a last message to our listeners? But we're going to have a next episode. So you who are crying with me because this conversation is amazing, wait, we're going to have a next episode.
In our truest form, we are the embodiment of love. And when we can remind ourselves continuously that our truest nature is the embodiment of love, then all self-doubt and discouragement or the hate that we might have felt, the abuse that we might have endured can fade away. It's part of the story, but it's not the truth of who we are. And so I would encourage everyone who's listening to tap into that infinite wellspring inside of you, which is your divine right to love and be loved, to be appreciated, to be fully human and fully divine at the same time. Tap in and believe it and let it guide you, because you can't go wrong when you are fully embodying your true nature as a vessel of love.
Another gift, because Jillian is amazing. I didn't know she was a witch like this. I am as surprised as you are who are listening, but I am amazed because I'm here making this interview and I have another one. So, Jillian, thank you a lot.
A
Your
pleasure.
art is not art, is magic. Yeah. And we need this. We need to overcome these traumas, and we can only overcome them when we integrate, when we feel them. And this happened with me. This happens with people I treat, I help. You got me something really powerful, really different, because I didn't realize I could heal myself through art. Of course, I knew, but I thought it was only for artists, like
Mm,
Frida Kahlo, like you. Yeah. I've heard something and I've done art therapy, but art therapy, it's like you put an archetype in the paper and then you get together with it, you get in contact with it. Okay. But to realize you can put magic into paintings and it can give this magic to
mm,
people you love. It's amazing. Thank you a lot. A lot, a lot. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, sharing your art, sharing your love, sharing a lot of things you said. I totally agree about we are in paradise. Actually, we're not in paradise. The planet Earth was supposed to be a paradise, but it became a hell, burning,
mm,
living hell. And our duty here is to go back, to take Eden back again. Yeah. Let's bring Eden, because we are supposed to live in Eden. We are not living in this. And the way is to get the planet back to people, not to the billionaires, not to the companies, yeah, to us, to people, because all, not only people, all animals, all living beings here, they have the right to live, to have food, to have comfort, to have shelter, to have water, to live, to thrive here. And let's do it together. Let's thrive. To all my listeners, you, meu amorzinho, who are listening, first of all, this is the only the first episode with Jillian. We're gonna go back in the next one, another really amazing topic. And I need your help. You need to help us. You need to help Brazilian Pleasure Diaries. How can you help? You can please hit the subscribe button. You can share this episode with people who really need healing, magic,
mm,
sexuality. Such an amazing thing. Yeah. And also
mhm.
comment. Tell me, what do you think? Are we, Jillian and I, crazy talking about these things or not? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Talk to me. And to finish this, if you need some help in order to get in touch with your orgasmic, powerful energy, talk to me. It's my mission. I love doing this. You can apply for a discovery session. And how can you do it? Just click in the link in the Instagram page. Here, also in the description of the episode, you can find the link. I would be delighted to make you feel the orgasmic energy inside of you. It's such a delight. You're gonna be happy. Me too. See you in the next episode. Keep revolutionizing, keep pulsing, keep thriving. Direto do Brasil. Beijo. Tamo junto.